Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Touched and Empowered. We have a very wonderful guest with us who is also one of my mentors, Jon Talarico. Welcome, Jon.
Thank you, Ace. Great to be here, you guys.
Oh, great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Just so everybody knows, Jon has been mentored by Bob Proctor as one of his top students. Jon Talarico is considered among the world's foremost experts in building successful relationships, and he helps companies and business professionals generate more money, build powerful connections, and achieve greater results. He teaches how to get in front of decision makers and how to grow your own business through networking and joint ventures as a high-performance business coach, consultant, and networker, million-dollar connector, TEDx speaker, best-selling author. The list goes on. Incredible producer for Think and Grow Rich. I really appreciate Jon being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ace. Super excited to be here. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. So really happy to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So here's my question, because I'm just meeting you for the first time.
Yes, Katie.
And you have a very impressive resume that for somebody fairly new to the entrepreneurial world, it's very daunting to be talking to you. So my main question is, what was the main turning point that just helped launch you into all of this fantastic energy?
Great question, Katie, and thank you. I didn't grow up that way, right? I grew up in Flint, Michigan, so I didn't really have any connections. But what I realized is I had a unique ability to build relationships with people. And I think that stemmed from my grandmother, who was always I think we all have that one person who's our champion, who's our angel, and the one that believes in us at times when we don't really believe in ourselves. And probably in 2008 or 9, Katie, I'd hit rock bottom, and I realized that I did not want to go out like this. That I knew I was here for a reason, that I had a difference to make in the world. And I realized that I needed to change my thinking, not my doing. I kept trying to do things different, hoping I'd get better results. And then I slowly started to realize, okay, what is it I truly, really want to do? Because I just kept chasing every shiny object that I could see. And I realized what I love to do is always what I'd love to do, which I went to college to be a teacher. And in a sense, that's what I feel that I am now. I teach people how to get whatever they want. But I abandoned that. I think as so many of us do, you guys, is we abandon our dreams because we're told teachers don't make any money. We're told, why would you want to do that when you're so good at math? And so what did I do? I sold out my dream once. That was the first time. And went to get an MBA instead, and then proceeded to get fired from every job. But always, it would all come full circle back to personal development, studying, learning from people like Bob Proctor, Les Brown, reading Think and Grow Rich, where it would always ignite something in me. And I think that is that thing why we call it the million in you, right? It's the one thing that you do better than anyone else on the planet. It's your God-given ability. So slowly I started to realize my ability was the ability to build relationships and to use those relationships to help change people's lives.
That is amazing.
Yeah. I think Jon's story is such an incredible triumph over adversity. Let's point that out as well. Like, I remember, you hear about people that are air quotes perfect and whatnot on air, right? That doesn't always encourage people. I found Jon to be so relatable when you shared his story and just how he continued to build those powerful connections. I have a really fun question for you, Jon. You ready for it?
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah.
Yay.
Fire.
Okay. So this was the very first question I ever asked Jon Talarico. So there's a wonderful book called, oh my goodness, that I don't remember. No, there's a book.
Okay. There's a good book.
There's a fantastic book by James Allen called
As a Man Thinketh.
As a Man Thinketh. And in the book, he describes your mind as a garden, right? Mm-hmm. So in that essence, there's good thoughts and bad thoughts. Yes. So I quoted the book and I asked him, man cannot directly change his circumstances, but he can change his thoughts and therefore indirectly change his circumstances. How do you understand that knowledge to jump timelines?
Well, I remember that question, Ace, and I'm like, wow, who is this woman? That's like the best question, because it is someone who actually thinks, right? Most of us don't think anymore. We're numbed out on these bloody things and social media and all of that. But it is a deeply, it's a very deep question. And so how can we change our circumstances? Remind me the question again, Ace, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a strong thought. It's so man can't directly change his circumstances, but he can change his thoughts and therefore indirectly change his circumstances. How do we jump timelines with that knowledge?
Absolutely. So what I've learned is you can actually make quantum leaps when you actually master that. When you start to realize that you can live your life from the inside out, that nothing external, conditions, circumstances, or your environment is in charge of your life, then you can start to have a whole new set of freedom. You can start to then create whatever you want using your imagination, right? And so the search for meaning is, I think, the meaning of that you are God's highest form of creation, in whichever way you want to believe that. But that in this garden, you are able to grow whatever you want. And we have been so programmed to be growing, being realistic, not thinking and understanding about how to use the mind to get what we want, not that thoughts can actually become things. And as you see now in all the quantum theories and studies and people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and all these other guys, it's really showing you how you can collapse time. When you start to understand then that you can control your results by changing your thinking, you start to act differently, I believe. And that's done through self-control. You have to control this thing. And most of us have no control. We have random thoughts. I believe society doesn't do much to help change that. And in fact, I think it encourages most people to have random thoughts. And it's a way, I believe, to control the masses, right? There's a great book called Outwitting the Devil, I think, which goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. And most people drift through life. They drift and scroll through social media. They drift and look at, oh, look what everyone else is doing. And then they try to copy that. They don't think for themselves. And so when you take back your power, your internal power, your thinking power, you can then realize that you're totally free to create the life you want. Now, that comes with a steep price, Ace. It comes with 100% responsibility. We've also been programmed to be in the victim society, right? And I was a great example of it for many decades. The poor me, the woe is me, the it's not fair, you don't understand, Ace and Katie, that this person did this to me. And so as you start to expand your consciousness and your mind and you study the right information, you start to realize, no, that it's 100% full responsibility. The buck stops here, right? And that you can then start to realize that everything is here to teach you something, to happen for you. And then you can start to change your life by changing your thoughts. And that is very freeing, Ace, to know that nobody controls anything that you guys want to do, be, or have.
That is very helpful. And it falls in line with I'm going to quote a mentor that I have that says there's no such thing as failure. It's just a temporary defeat.
Absolutely.
And the first time I heard him say that made me realize that, oh, I could just change what I'm thinking about what the meaning is behind whether or not something got completed the way I thought it should have been done.
Yeah. There, and I'm back to even, let me add on to that, Ace. We can make quantum leaps, right? So often we're told that you can't go from 0 to 100. You have to take your time and you have to work hard. But I think that's just part of the way that our parents and society was programmed. But when you start to read about the masters, the people who understand the mind, understand the laws and manifestation and law of vibration, law of attraction, you start to realize, wow, I can use my mind and really make quantum leaps in income and impact and relationships. And I see it all the time. And I think you do too, Ace. I know you do. But that comes from a calmness and a confidence and a clarity of what is it that you truly, really want, not allowing anything to distract you.
Thank you, John. It's really interesting. So ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to really take those quantum leaps, John does have an incredible program, and we'll put the link at the bottom of the page.
Thank you, Ace.
Of course. I went through the program and I literally remember just holding on for dear life because the quantum leaps were intense. But with the right coach and the right person who's going to be by your side through each quantum leap and each, oh my goodness, we're changing paradigms. Oh, the world. You really do want to have a really good coach by your side who will ensure you're going to be good, you're going to be safe, and you're going to achieve your dreams. And Jon is definitely one of those individuals who has done that for me. I look so much happier, Donna.
You look amazing, Ace. You've always been one of my favorite students and clients and friends. Yeah, it's just great to see what I saw from when I first saw you, Ace, with the power, the beauty, the grace, the amazing woman that you really are. So
thank you. And my question is, so taking full responsibility, I understand, is definitely liberating. And I think one of the biggest limiting factors is equating responsibility with something heavy, with something that you don't really want to do.
mm-hmm.
But actually realizing that taking full responsibility is bringing in freedom. It's having your power. How do you coach people to understand that so that they get out of the world's crashing?
Get out of the way. A great question again, Ace. But there is, I help them understand that there are laws to the universe, right? There's a law of cause and effect. And when you start to look for, okay, what was your part in it, and where could you have been different? Then you start to realize, okay, wow, I do see my part. I do see where if I take responsibility, it wasn't the other person. And then what was the lesson in all of this? Well, the lesson was to cause you to grow, and you're going to continue to get that lesson until you get it. And you are going to get the same situation over and over again. You'll be tested until you master that lesson. And I think it requires some tough love, Ace, right? Like it'd be great to sit there and we get on a call and I tell you what you want to hear, Ace, and all touchy, good, feely stuff. But you are willing to do the work, to go through the I don't want to curse on this show, the stuff, to get to the other side, to take a look at yourself. Most of us don't want to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, I'm not really happy with the person I'm seeing looking back at me. But from there, instead of running, instead of doing what I did for decades and just like not even looking at yourself, but like looking at an angle where I wouldn't even look at myself. I'd wash my face and I'd look down because it was so full of shame. So that's what we want to get people to realize, is that you're looking at something very beautiful and powerful. We have to change that self-image. That is a false self-image. How do we do that? Full responsibility. Okay, here's where I'm at. Without judging yourself, we beat ourselves up enough. And then just being open and authentic, I think, and vulnerable, right? Authentic in the sense of, okay, look, here's what it's not always great on the other side when you're the coach either, right? You can have bad days, negative things can be happening, and you still can manifest and have quantum leaps. But it requires you to make sure that you're connecting this to this. And I think that's where most coaches fail, is that they don't connect the heart to the mindset. And they're just telling you, change your thinking, write out your goals, write out your affirmations 100 times, but they miss the heart connection, right? It's the heart that really is what has to be linked up. And so I think that's the gap that we have to close, is from the head to the heart. And when you do that, you can coach people with love, but you can also call them on their nonsense. And I think the other great thing I learned from my mentor, Bob Proctor, was the ability to use my intuition, right? People call them empaths or whatever, but everyone could do it, right? You can actually see what people are doing, thinking, right? Feeling. And then when you have enough confidence to know that, hey, if you call them on it, you're going to be actually helping them grow. I think that's really where the true transformation takes place.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an incredible understanding. I agree with you 100% that a lot of disconnect from the mind to the heart has been going on in the coaching sphere. And I know how coaching has definitely blown up in the past year, right?
Yeah.
When we find the people that actually understand that the heart is most important, right? Because in my opinion, your mind, of course, reaffirms what your heart is feeling. The moment that's disconnected, you might not be coming into the right space.
Absolutely. Katie, let's have another one. Fire away, Katie. I want to hear another good one.
Oh, it's one of those things that there's so much as Ace said, there are so many people who have decided to become coaches, and it's hard to distinguish ourselves as coaches with all of these people out there. So for somebody like Ace, like myself, whose sole purpose is just to help the individual, and I don't want to do sales marketing, I don't want to do landing pages, I don't want to do sales calls, because I have that slimy salesman thought, and I can poke fun at being a used car salesperson because my mom happens to be one. It's, how can I help get my message out there and still make it sound genuine without feeling slimy?
Well, great question, Katie. First thing is, and Bob again taught me this. He's like, and I used to think the same thing, right? We think of sales, we think of, used car, we think, like I dread when I have to go get a new car, right? And it's just like, but what I realize is sales is actually doing something for somebody, not doing something to somebody. And so when you are 100% all in, Katie, then you need to get your message to as many people as possible. So does Ace. They need to hear you. People are suffering needlessly because let's just take you for example, are not stepping into that full, I'm all in, I'm a coach, period. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get my message to as many people as possible. And Bob told me, John, you're being selfish. You're being selfish. I'm like, what? He's like, you're being selfish. Every day that you hold off putting yourself out there and sharing your message, your experience, your strength, your hope with other people, you're causing someone to not actually feel better because you are allowing fear and whatever else to hold you back, for you to hide out. I used to say I was in the witness protection program, Katie, right? And then there was the other part of where, yes, everyone and their brother and cousin these days and their cousin's cousin seems to be a life coach, transformation, whatever you want to call it, right? I always like to say I'm a results coach because that's, at the end of the day, is what you come to me for, what Ace came to. You guys want results. And so then what I always encourage people to do is look for somebody who has the results and is living the life that you want to live. And that's one thing I think that makes us unique in our company is that not only did I get mentored and coached by the greatest mindset teacher, Bob Proctor, right? I think he was the greatest teacher ever. But then also that's the mind. And then you go to the heart. Well, what is the heart really? It's the message you tell yourself. Who is Katie? What are you here to do? And how can you impact people's lives? The messaging. And there was nobody greater that do that than Les Brown. He's a great motivational messenger, the best. So I was mentored personally, and then both of those became my clients. And so I've got the mindset, I've got the messaging. So then the third part of what I call the golden triangle is I'll call it the mastermind to keep the 3 M's, but it's a networking, right? It's a mastermind. It's the Rolodex of people. And I pride myself on my connections and my ability. If I don't know somebody, I gave a TEDx talk on this last year. I can get to somebody who does. I can get to anyone in the world through 1 or 2 people. I know it. In fact, tonight I'll be speaking to someone who's got 240 million followers. And I have a meeting with his manager, someone in India, one of the most famous cricket players in the world. That happened from just cold reach out, right? But I know how to do that, and I've been able to teach other people. And so when you can master those 3, the thinking, the mindset, the heart with the message, and then networking, connections, relationship, mastermind, you can, you write your own ticket.
And I think it's just getting over that sounds hard, when my heart says that's not hard, but my brain is saying that it's hard.
Well, you spend a lot of time up there in your head, Katie. And so
I know.
we got to take that horn off the top of your head, and we got to, stick it in your heart and get it back pumping and flowing full time. So what I always tell people, though, Katie, is make sure that if you want to be a coach, then start today. When people ask what you do, you tell them I'm a coach. You don't need to wait, right?
Right.
Act as if the person you wish to become. Some of my friends, I've saw them arguing back and forth about this whole fake it till you make it thing, and how they don't really buy into that and all that. And I think there's a big difference between fake it till you make it and acting as if the person you wish to become. Because what are you doing? You're transforming your character, and that takes time. It's just, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so as you are transforming through a lot of the trauma that most all of us have gone through stuff, it takes time. But if you are operating from a mindset of this is the person I wish to become, and you're doing it every day, that's far from faking anything. This is a decision that I'm going to incorporate these characteristics into my character, and I'm going to be a new person. I'm going to operate from this place because I am a coach. I'm the best coach on the planet. And I, Katie Miller, am here to help people live the best life.
And that is easier to believe now than it was 8 months ago. So thank you for that, because that just helps reaffirm what I've been working towards.
Good.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, Katie, most of the quantum leaps and all the me being
Absolutely.
there, you see where I'm getting it from now?
Let me sneak one more in, Ace. And
yes,
you,
please.
Katie, Ace, all of your listeners, you guys are so much closer than you really believe, right? I was blessed to hear Ed Milet speak to 25 of us a few months ago. And he said this, right? You're so much closer than you realize to having it all. It's much closer than you think it is. And so, yeah, this is good stuff you guys are doing here.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. That means a lot, because one of the things that I've noticed is that in my world, the best way I can describe it is there are givers and there are takers.
Mm-hmm.
And over the past 8 months, I've recognized how many more takers I've had in my life than
Mm-hmm.
givers. So slowly, respectfully distancing myself from the takers has opened up more room for givers.
Good.
And now that I'm moving into more of this giver energy surrounding me, it's making it easier for me to give more to my clients, my friends, my family. And
I would also encourage you, Katie, not to forget the receiving part.
Yeah, that's kind of hard too.
It's very hard. And so I would
Ace-
encourage you to, in order to be a great giver, you have to be a great receiver, Katie, and you need to be open to receive all the love that people want to give you. And so as you're cleaning house, I would encourage you to do it faster than slower. Clean house, get rid of these people. Doesn't mean you love them any less, but the train has left the station. Katie's gone. So either you're on getting on board or you're not. And so back to how Ace opened this question up about your environment. If people are not around you supporting your dream, your mission, your vision, and they don't have the same kind of goals, desires, and dreams that you do, Katie, then they find a new group, right? And so you've aligned yourself with this amazing, beautiful, powerful woman that I love dearly. So obviously you two are doing amazing, wonderful things. So these are the kind of relationships and people that, you know, I would encourage everyone to surround themselves with, you know.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jon. And with that, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking your words of wisdom with us. If you want to learn how to master those 3 trifectas that Jon did mention, check them out. Definitely check out the link that we're going to provide below and see what you can do. See how much you can achieve beyond your wildest expectations. And you really can do that. So thank you so much, Jon. Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for all the golden
Katie,
nuggets.
absolute pleasure to meet you. Ace, always great to see you. Thank you, guys. And everyone watching, take action, you guys. Stick close to these 2 women.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.